So Saturday morning, and this is where I am. Just returned to what we're calling plot 11, and just have a little wander around and be able to see the octagonal stack that I did ages ago, and the roll batter and the cobble work, and pick my radio up. And then what I'm here to do today is get the first sample herringbone panel on. So just have a little look at this. This isn't going to be the actual way in eventually. This is obviously just for site access at the moment. You can see the oak is now being put on, and that's what we've got to do, herringbone in between. So there's the octagonal stack and the roll batter. Seems ages ago since we were here. Mikey's cobble work, mine under the window, Dutchie's there, and Mikey's there again. Mikey is so good on the cobble work, really good. So anyway, I'm up on the gable to start doing. Have a look. I'm going to be on the lift above there, and I'm going to now set out and get ready for the cobble work. Sorry, herringbone. So this is the sample I'm going to do, or the panel I'm going to do. So I've just put a centre line through there, and I've just done a horizontal one there, which replicates where I'm going to set out. So when I set out to the top, I can put it onto there, and then I know exactly what kind of cuts I'm going to have when I get to the top there. I just want to make sure we don't have really stupid little cuts there if possible. So what I'm going to do obviously now is do my 45s, and then I'll start cutting a few samples. These are the slips that I'm going to be using. So I'll just get my measurements from that, transfer them onto there, and put a line up, and there we go. Right, okay, just going to point out, so I've done a centre line, which is what everybody assumes is the right thing to do. So I've done the centre line through there. There we go, so the peak is going to follow that. But this is what I used to say to all my students. That doesn't mean that your panel is going to be symmetrical and look good, because you can see here, if I continue this, I'm going to have this little cut going all the way up, and this side I'm going to have this size cut. So what I'm now going to try and do, and this is the time to do it, I'm now going to set everything off centre by this much to get that point onto the corner. So I just have to cut straight down there on this one, and then this one will be bigger, and then I'll set it, make sure I'm happy with the cuts, and then I will undoubtedly put the centre over this much to the left, where I'm now going to move that, do it on the actual panel itself, and I will follow that line. So I'll be looking at about 20mm off centre, but I will have a better balance cut. I mean, I could move it even further over, so I got this cut here to be the same as that, but we have so many of these to do. What I'm going to do is suggest that we do mix it up a little bit, but avoid that. So we can move them over a little bit to have them like this, so they're slightly uneven both sides, and other times the next one we can move them over so that we get proper identical cuts both sides. And because these will vary a little bit as well, because these are reclaimed oak, so they're going to not be fantastically upright and straight lines. We are going to have a few, that one there just bumps out a little bit. And as I've walked around, I've noticed a few of them are like that. So anyway, they're gonna just reset my centre mark. So that is what I'm going to go with. So I'm now going to move that line over. You can see it's about 27 mil. So I'm going to move that line 27 mil over to the left on there, and then that's where my peak will follow. So now that I've repositioned the line of my peak, I will now cut all the left hand side and the right hand side ones all in preparation, because these two sides are quite good for plumb on this one. So I am going to just go ahead and do those, because you can see each course the only whole brick I'm going to have out of 3 is going to be that one in the centre, and obviously both sides are going to be cut, so I just want to cut myself. I'm going to cut a dozen of each, and then I'll make a start. And I just want to get to the metre mark. I'll lay them out all dry as I'm doing it, and I just want to see where that comes, because just curious. There's not really a lot I can do about the top. I'm just curious to see how it's going to work out, because if you find it is really a ridiculously small amount and it's going to look horrible, then obviously as I do these ones I will just increase my gauge a little bit to make sure that I do get fairly good at the top there. So all prep work, and then these aren't going on with a tile cement, flexible tile cement, which is what I prefer to do, but I'm going to be sticking these on with tubes of this. Bit of power grab and bond. So just a time, what do you call it? Time study on this one. So I started nearly half an hour ago. At 8:30 I was up on the scaffold here, so half an hour I've kind of like got my setting out done. Just going to do all my cutting, and actually putting them in should not take very long at all. This is going to be the longest part, getting all these cut and making sure that's all set out properly. Just taken the one on for the left hand side, brought it over here, just marked a T in there just for a template. I've marked all those ones up, so I'm now going to cut those 12 straight off. So there's the panel all dry cut. So I know the distance that I'm just above the board that I'm setting out on, which is there, so I'm about 5 mil above. So all I'm going to do is measure what I've got there, measure what it is on there, and I'm going to draw a line. I'm not going to cut them ones, because obviously if I do find that as I'm gluing these in and I do get a slight discrepancy, then I'll just have to recut the top anyway. So I'll leave that right to the end, but I just want to have a guide to work to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself a bit of batten, and I'm going to mark each peak, and I'm going to transfer it onto there, so every time I lay one, I lay exactly the same as what I've got there. And just keep an eye. I've set my bevel up to 45, so I'll just, or 90 degrees over these ones, 90 degrees in there, yeah, just to keep them coming up all nice and on the 90, which will obviously mean there'll be 45 as well if I start off right. So that's what I'm going to do now. So allowing for a little bit of a joint and 5 mil up there, 195 above the line I've got, and allowing a tight joint at the top there. 195, just under 195, 192. So if I just measure 192 on there, and I'll just draw a line just to see what my cuts are going to be like. So I've just transferred that line up to there, and that's where it is. And you can see that I've got a really horrible cut there, which I mean, you could let it go, but I don't really like that. So if I just moved everything up 10mm to take all this up, just to get rid of that, it just means I've just got to open these joints up fractionally. So I will do that now, and then I'll set my gauge, and then I'll get going. Just shunted those up to that new mark, and obviously when you space them out over all those courses, you don't really notice anything. So one or two of these bricks are a little bit slimmer, because these are Imperials, handmades. They do vary in size. So I've got one or two. I don't really want to change that, because obviously we're going to get that on every single panel when we pick up bricks that vary in size. So I'll just go with what I've got. It's no good making one perfect panel, and the other ones will all be compromised, so you might as well do a general idea of all of them on this one. Right. This is what I call vertical herringbone, and you could set it out this way as well, which obviously the peak is on that side, but that when you have like a small panel, you get like an arrow pointing up or an arrow pointing down, so you can have it upside down herringbone. Or in some places I've seen, I don't like this one, horizontal herringbone. Obviously this one's pointing to the right, and you can have it the other way going to the left, but again they are going to the left. It all depends how big your panel is for that to be pointing that way. If that's a bigger panel, then obviously it'd be pointing both ways. So kind of like variations on it, but obviously I just prefer this one. This is one that most people see and prefer. I just transfer my peaks to the centre, and then what I'll do, I will also mark the side panels as well, because I won't use any lines on this as I'm going straight onto a board. I'm not bedding these, so I'll now run the batten down that side, and then do the same up there, and then I'll do the same there, left and right hand side. So I've got my peaks marked, I've got both sides marked where I'm coming to, so I will keep a check with 90 degrees on that, and which I'll just lay on here. And it's now 9:45, so an hour and 15 minutes of cutting and setting out. So now we'll put them in. So here we go. So I just want to start by sealing all the way around the perimeter, just so if there is any ingress of water, it doesn't get behind the panel there. So I'll do that. And my first thought was to just apply this glue to the back of the brick, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like an area, so I'm just going to do like lots of S kind of shapes on the actual board, and then I will put a little bit on the back of these as well, and then just push them all on. So get started. So I have to say, it's going in alright. I had to tweak it a little bit. You can see I'm not quite on that centre thing. I just tweaked it a little bit because I just found that these cups were just a little bit too small. So I just had to tweak those ones a little bit. So I moved it over a bit, but I'm not really keen on sticking them on like this. I don't like putting spacers in. It kind of takes your eye off what you're trying to do. You can see that obviously the bricks do vary in size a lot. Thickness, but then again, that's all adding to the authenticity of it all. So it should look alright when it's done, but we'll see. Oh, this one's going to need cutting as well. So that was the last one in, so I just got to get a couple of packers on there. I'll just check all these ones because I'd like to take all these out if I could. They do seem fairly solid now. I'm going to have a quick bite to eat. So it's now 20 to 11. So what I will do is come back, have a tidy up, and take those out and see what it looks like.